Hey everyone, Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another important live video update tonight. So obviously the big news since my last update on Tuesday night is Dan Andrews' push for random COVID testing. So he's now saying that in large to medium-sized businesses in the meat, poultry, seafood sector and also in supermarket distribution, their staff, 1/4 of their staff per week, which basically means all of their staff over the period of the next month, are all going to have to undergo random COVID testing, whether they're showing any symptoms or not. Now, my obvious question to them is, what are they testing them with and what are they testing them for, given that we have already established that the current tests for COVID-19 are scientifically meaningless. Now, I'm going to show everybody where this is. Okay, so this is on our vaccinations page, and so just go to knowyourrightsgroup.com.au/vaccinations. You scroll down here, and as you can see here, the detailed medical article which explains why the current PCR tests for COVID-19 is actually scientifically meaningless. Okay, please make sure you go to our vaccinations page and actually read that article so that you understand this. If you are one of the workers who is affected by this new directive, please download and provide a copy of that to your employer and ask them, why are you forcing me to undergo a test that is scientifically meaningless? Okay, this is very, very important. Now, of course, the other issue is, if these industries have a COVID safe plan, which they're all supposed to have, and if these COVID safe plans are working, then why is there a need for all of this extra additional random testing? Because if the COVID safe plan's working, then no one's transmitting it or catching it at work. Okay, and again, even if they went home and they caught it from home and brought it into the workplace, again, the COVID safe plan at work would stop it being transmitted to anyone. Okay, can people not see how these things just don't stack up? Now, is it that these businesses don't have their COVID safe plans or they're not adhering to them? I mean, should they be fined like people who are not wearing masks? Or is it that the whole thing is a complete and utter load of rubbish? All right, now, speaking of a load of rubbish, okay, because I keep getting comments on the posts and people say, oh, Mike, you keep talking about this virus and there is no virus and all this kind of stuff. So I have to be very careful what I say here, all right, because we don't want to have a risk of having this video taken down by YouTube or putting our Facebook group at risk again of like the old one of being taken down. So I'm going to use my words very carefully. Hopefully those of you watching this can read between the lines and get the point that I'm saying. Now, there's been a growing number of people, okay, especially from groups of doctors from all around the world, okay, who have suggested, and I'm not saying this, but they are suggesting that this entire pandemic, okay, is in fact not true. Now, there was actually an entire movie made entitled Plandemic. Okay, now for those of you who want to do a bit of research outside of the mainstream media narrative, for informational and educational purposes only, of course, okay, I urge you to go and look that up. Look up Plandemic. Okay, go have a look and watch it and see what's there. Now, there's also documents that have come out that shows that countries have ordered COVID tests back in 2017 and 2018, way before COVID-19 was even a thing. Okay, and of course that does seem a little bit odd. Now then there's obviously the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board Manual, which we talked about on one of our recent radio shows. It's entitled A World at Risk. Now again, this came out in September 2019, before COVID-19 was a thing, okay, and that detailed that the United Nations, which of course includes the World Health Organization, was to conduct a training and simulation exercise on the deliberate release of a lethal respiratory pathogen. Now, that sounds a little bit familiar. Not sure. Bit weird again, bit odd. Now, there's also been numerous reports that have suggested that COVID-19 was engineered in a laboratory. Again, we've touched on some of those articles in our recent radio shows. There's also been suggestions that it contains elements that simply can't exist in nature. Now this starts to get a little bit technical, but for those of you who are interested in doing that kind of research, I urge you to look it up, and I'm going to show you exactly where to do that in just a moment. Okay, now there's even been wild and crazy conspiracy theories that suggest that there was a depiction of the pandemic right back at the opening ceremony of the 2012 Sydney Olympics. If you haven't seen that footage, go and have a look at that. There's also a lot of different articles referencing very well-known names, people like Bill Gates, Dr. Anthony Fauci, even the Rockefeller Foundation. Okay, there's been all sorts of crazy phrases used like New World Order, population control, DNA altering vaccines, okay, and again, a bunch of other really crazy conspiracy theories. Now, I'm sure that all of the really detailed reports that have been put together by many well-respected people that have connected those completely separate topics, okay, is just purely coincidental, okay? But it does make for some very entertaining and some might say enlightening reading. Okay, so if you do want to find a very comprehensive collection of articles on all of those points in one place, again, I've just uploaded this today to our vaccinations page. And again, if you go down to the subsection COVID-19 can be cured, you'll see that the last reference there shows the reference to that article. Okay, and all the articles are listed that contain all of those references and a bunch more. So if that's of interest to you, jump on our vaccinations page, download that, or you can just read it online and just see what you think. Now again, I want to assure everybody out that this is all obviously just pure speculation. Okay, and that look, obviously the fact that Daniel Andrews is still around, he hasn't been arrested yet, he hasn't been fired yet, that just absolutely proves that our government really does love us and care about us, and is obviously looking out for our best interests at heart. Now, for some strange reason, despite that fact, I actually came across an interesting news.com.au article today. Now, not that I would ever usually suggest people go to the mainstream media, but this was actually quite interesting because it seems like not everybody feels that way, and some people are actually, especially in Melbourne, getting sick of their government looking after them and taking care of them. I mean, silly people. I don't know what they're up to, but this you can look this article up online. It's entitled "Coronavirus Australia: Victorians Revolt Against Dan's Plan," and it says a shock new poll. It's really not that shocking, trust me. Has revealed Melburnians are finally fed up with stage 4 restrictions after weeks of support for the harsh measures. As I said, not that shocking. Support for Victoria's stage 4 restrictions is slipping, with a new poll revealing most residents are now against the strict rules and believe it's time to open up the state. According to the latest Roy Morgan Snap SMS survey on Victoria's stage 4 restrictions, a majority that want Melbourne's restaurants, hotels, clubs and cafes to be allowed to offer table service with proper social distancing. This is a huge 19% jump from just 3 weeks ago when the last survey was concluded. A staggering 61% also believe Melburnians should be able to travel beyond the 5-kilometre rule, up from 50% last time around, and an increasing majority of Victorians, 59%, say Melbourne residents should be able to visit their homes of their immediate families. Seems like pretty common sense to me, but apparently according to the mainstream media, this is shocking news. So you can make of it what you will. Go and have a look. But I'm glad to see, one way or the other, that the average Aussies are now waking up. Praise the Lord for these simple mercies. Okay, long may it continue. Now, one of the biggest reasons that people are waking up and getting fed up, apart from the obvious, financial devastation that Dan Andrews keeps, forcing on Melburnians, is this ridiculous insistence on the wearing of these pointless paper masks. Now, I've explained a number of issues with those masks on some of the recent videos, but one of our followers, I guess you'd put it on YouTube, actually posted a comment which explains it really well. So a shout out to Slavko, I hope I pronounced that correctly. And this is a comment that he put on the last video that I put up on Tuesday night. He said, mask mouth makes complete scientific sense. Little do many realise that the action of breathing is much more than just oxygen intake and carbon dioxide exhalation. Carbon dioxide is a waste gas produced by the cells of the body, and breathing freely is the primary method of whole body detoxification. That's right, your body detoxes by exhaling. I can't remember the exact figure, but it's somewhere in the range of 90 to 95% of toxins are purged simply by exhaling. When this natural process is restricted or inhibited by mask wearing, particularly long-term mask wearing, the toxins are forced back into the mouth and nasal cavity to fester, thus creating a whole range of health problems like mask mouth. So yeah, I mean, this guy explains it really clearly, and I've covered it in recent videos. If you've missed those, please go back and watch them. Now, I've also uploaded a very important article from the University of New South Wales. Again, right here in Australia, not some backyard publication from the other side of the world. It's right here from the University of New South Wales that goes into a comprehensive study of paper masks and explains again that they can be actually detrimental to your health. And again, this is so important that I've put this up onto our vaccinations page. So again, if you go onto our vaccinations page, go under the inaccuracy of COVID-19 testing, scroll to the bottom section there, and you'll find a link to the report from the University of New South Wales. So again, I urge you, please have a read of that. Here are some of the key points. And this is the actual article, so if you want to see what it actually looks like, you can see it there. But it says the use of cloth masks by healthcare workers may actually put them at increased risk of respiratory illness and viral infections, and their global use should be discouraged, according to a University of New South Wales study. The study found respiratory infection was much higher among healthcare workers wearing cloth masks. The penetration of cloth masks by particles was almost 97%. So what the hell are they saving you from compared to medical masks with just 44%? Professor Raina McIntyre said results of the study caution against the use of cloth masks. It goes on to say cloth masks should not be used by workers in any healthcare setting. It goes on to refer to the guidelines, by Andrews and his wonderful team of cronies. It says these guidelines need to be updated to reflect the higher infection risk posed by cloth masks. So again, straight out of the University of New South Wales actual formal medical study. Now, why are all of these articles so important? Why am I sharing them with you? Why am I uploading them to our vaccinations page? Because obviously masks have some benefit, because otherwise Dan Andrews wouldn't be forcing us to wear them now, would he? I mean, that much is clear. Okay, but perhaps Dan Andrews isn't aware of some of the detriments of wearing a mask. So the best way, of course, to make him aware of those detriments is to send copies of those articles to him, and also to the Chief Health Medical Officer, and also to the Minister for Health. Hopefully you can see what I'm getting at here, guys. Okay, please download those documents, email them, print them out, send them off in letters, and just ask some simple questions. Hi Dan, are you aware of all of these various studies? If so, can you please explain your latest directives in line with them? Okay, you might also want to print these out and hand them out to any local shops in your area that might look at you a bit funny when you come in without a mask, to help inform and educate them about the possible detriments. Okay, so this is all important stuff. Again, if you have an employer that insists on you wearing a mask, okay, again, you can provide them with these articles and say, well, why are you trying to force a medical experimentation that has been shown to be detrimental to my health upon me, contrary to my human rights? Again, we've explained all of these in some of our various videos, so please make sure you go and wear those. So a lot more people are getting fed up with these masks, which is great. Here is the actual ammunition that you can now print off and use and send, as I said, to your employers, to businesses, to Dan Andrews, and all the rest of it. Now, most importantly, for those of you who have actual health concerns but don't necessarily have a formal medical exemption, okay, you obviously need to look after your health first and foremost. After all, that's what this whole pandemic's all about, isn't it? Okay, so I'd urge you to give some serious consideration as to whether wearing a mask, especially this coming weekend in Melbourne, where it's going to be uncharacteristically warm, whether or not that is in the best interest of your health. Now this goes for everybody in Melbourne, in fact everybody in Victoria, because this is something that's a directive for all of Victoria. It even goes out to people like police officers who are being forced to stand out there in the heat for 8 or 9 hours, okay, wearing one of these things that could actually be detrimental to their health. All of you watching this, and a lot of you haven't yet seen it yet, and hopefully it will be passed around to you soon. And do, of course, share these videos far and wide. And let's start thinking about whether wearing these pointless paper masks is really, honestly, in the best interest of our health, or whether, of course, it could, in fact, be causing more problems than it's potentially saving. Now, as always, if you do get an unjust and unlawful fine for not wearing a mask, not wearing the right type of mask, because now you can't wear bandanas and scarves, be more than 5 kilometres from your home, or any of these other arbitrary rules, okay, that have been brought in as part of our government unlawfully signing up to the Unidroit Treaty. Now again, most people have no idea what Unidroit is. We have an entire chapter, okay? So this, of course, is our Know Your Rights book, the essential step-by-step manual for understanding and exercising your rights. Chapter 6, it's entitled Law versus Legal. It's all about Unidroit. What is Unidroit? It's arbitrary, private law that our government unlawfully signed us up to. Most people haven't got a clue what it is, never even heard of it before. We've got an entire chapter on it. So if you don't yet have this book, if you know someone that doesn't, this is the underlying information that you need to understand to get your head around how this bigger picture all operates. Now, of course, as I said, if you do have a fine, make sure you grab this Aussie Speeding Fines book. I've said it before. Chapter 3 is the 3-step process. It's got the simple pro forma letters that you just copy and paste your details, and you can send those off for any fine, no matter what it's for. Okay, and again, there's links in the description, up, down, I'm not sure where they are here, but make sure you look those up and send those letters out and challenge those fines if you get any of them. And of course, if like most people you're struggling financially, we're hearing more and more stories, especially now that this JobKeeper and JobSeeker bonuses have been severely curtailed and cut back. If you're struggling, please stop trying to pay off some pointless unsecured loan, personal loans, credit cards, things like that. Challenge those loans, okay? You can get them significantly reduced, or you can get them completely discharged simply by following the very easy, tried, tested and proven 4-step strategy in this Bank Secrets Revealed book. Again, there's a link in the description. There's a combo offer where you can buy all 3 books together and save a little bit on postage and all the rest of it. And again, you'll find those up, down, wherever the description happens to be. But again, we're hearing more and more success stories with people who just had enough. They simply can't pay these loans. They're challenging them, and they're having $20,000, $30,000 credit cards, personal loans, either written off or reduced down to really, really tiny payments. So please, if you're affected financially, which I know a lot of you are, make sure you grab those books and get on top of that. So I'm going to leave it there for tonight. It is going to be a fantastic weekend here in Melbourne, some beautiful weather. I have heard that there's a lot of people are very keen to go out and do some exercise. And get out into the fresh air and the nice weather this weekend. I know Daniel Andrews has specifically targeted these new $5,000 fines against protesters and people gathering unlawfully. And again, I would never suggest anybody did anything like that. But absolutely, I mean, spring's here, the weather's going to be nice. If you want to get out and exercise, and you happen to be exercising in areas where other people are exercising, give them a wave and a smile, by all means. And I hope you do all have a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to speaking to you all again on Sunday night.